Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium, and today we're doing part 2 of your political questions that I'm going to be asking the spirit guides. Hopefully you've checked out part 1. I'm wearing the same shirt because basically this is a marathon, and because there's some really interesting and important information in part 1, and there's some really interesting questions that we continue in part 2. So the first question that I'm going to get to is by Susan Baker. And her question is Russian money and influence behind the NRA and gun proliferation in the USA? Yes, dear. As a matter of fact, they're reminding me that the NRA has already gotten in trouble for taking Russian money. I mean, I think that's in the news. You can Google that. So yes, the answer is yes. They are responsible for gun proliferation in the United States. Russia wants to destabilize our democracy. The more they can destabilize our democracy, the better they can show in propaganda to their own citizens that democracy is not something that you want, right? So we are their #1 target. So yes, absolutely. Thank you for your question. Equus3333 says, and thank you for your question too, will there be a terror attack in the U.S.? She has a couple of questions. Will there be a terror attack? We will have our own homegrown terror attacks. We don't need any other country to help us out with that. We've got them our own selves. The guides have often talked about in the past that the United States is going into a period of time that's going to be very similar to the Troubles that Ireland experienced with the NRA and their locally grown terrorist attacks. So that's what I see happening. Sadly, we will have attacks on us by militia members, the Proud Boys, whoever. But it's going to be our own people, sadly. Also, her question is, how is Ukraine holding up? I just literally finished that in the last video. The very last question was about Ukraine. I don't want to get all the way into it again, but I would just tell you this is a difficult time for the war. Russia is dug in. They need that land by the sea. They need the seaport because if you can't beat the whole country, which they haven't and they're not going to do, they could control Ukraine economically because Ukraine ships out their grains. Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. They ship out their grains through these seaports like Mariupol. Now, if Russia has control of that, then they control Ukraine. Do you understand? So they are going to fight really hard to keep that area, and they do want to annex it. And the guides have said in the past that Western countries were going to put pressure on Ukraine to leave it, to give it to Russia. That is happening. But I would say that as bad as it's going to get in this summer, which is pretty bad, I would say that overall, Ukraine is victorious. Overall, Ukraine gets that land back. They get all of that land back, including Crimea. They do get Crimea back. It may not be this year, but it's a tough time. Biden is supporting them. The United States, England, various countries are supporting them. France and Germany are not supporting them, and there's a lot of reasons. There are people pro-Putin in both of those countries, and also those countries get a lot of gas and oil and various things from Russia, and they don't want to get it from other places. They can get it cheaper there. So you're going to see those countries, France and Germany, you're going to see a lot of civil unrest because the people of France and Germany do not support this. So they're going to be rising up against their elected politicians. Of course, in France, Macron just won. So he's got a long time in office, but you're going to see a lot of civil unrest there. Her other question is Navalny. Navalny in Russia, if you know who Navalny is, he's a Russian dissenter against Putin, and he's been in prison. And he was moved by Putin to a torture prison. It's well known to be a torture prison. It's good and bad. Navalny is not well. He is not good. He is close to dying. But they can't let him die because he'll be a martyr. And so look, they would have killed Navalny a long time ago. They kill people for no reason and very quickly. So why is Navalny even still alive? Well, that's because he has a strong following in Russia, and he will be a martyr. And it will trigger the kind of civil unrest that Putin can't deal with right now. Okay? So they've got to keep Navalny alive. Number two, he was moved from that prison because there was going to be a prison break. They were going to break him out of that prison. There are forces gathering in Russia that are not pro-Putin, that indeed are anti-Putin, and those forces are gaining energy and strength, and they needed to move Navalny to a place that was more secure, and this prison is the most secure prison that they could get him to. Now, if he dies, it's by mistake. They don't want him to die. They want him to stay alive. He is used as a bargaining chip all the time. They take pictures of him being tortured, and that's how they keep his dissenters in line. Whenever his dissenters do anything, they are given a picture or a video when Navalny asking them not to. So he is a very important, precious commodity for Russia. So that's what's going on with Navalny. I do see the potential for Navalny making it out of prison alive, and I do see the potential for Navalny becoming a real positive force for Russia. He's not a perfect guy, okay? I don't think he has great human rights. I'm not sure that he's pro-gay and lesbian. I mean, he's not a perfect guy, but he's certainly a lot better, by 1,000,000% better than Putin, okay? So that's that. And then, yeah, it's very hot everywhere. You guys are a lot of you guys are experiencing heat that you're not used to, so take really good care. It's very hot in Texas. However, I think we're more used to it than some of these other places. So I do think that, again, we're going to have crazy weather. We're going to, the floods in Yellowstone right now, the whole Yellowstone Park is shut down because flooding has literally taken out bridges. Listen, this weather is unpredictable. The thing you need to understand is it's unpredictable. Whatever you know about the weather, throw it out the window. If you think it could never get hot, throw that out the window. If you think, like right now, there's a town in Texas that has over 100-degree heat and their water is off. They have no water. The hospitals have no water. The town has no water. Whatever you think couldn't happen here, it can happen. I've often talked about water. Water is a thing. Have water in your house. Have gallons of water in your house. I'm not saying fill your bathtub up. I'm not saying something's going to happen today. I'm saying that it's not going to hurt to have 3, 4, 5 gallons of water in your house this summer. Also, just be prepared. Any kind of weird weather warnings that you get, take them very seriously. Whatever weather we have is likely to be much more damaging than it normally is, okay? So the heat is more damaging, the tornado is more damaging, the flooding is more damaging. You understand what I'm saying? Be weather aware, and just, don't live your life in fear at all, because that's not what we're supposed to do here. It just means take things seriously. If you got a warning, a weather warning, take it seriously. Don't brush it off. Okay. Public service announcement is now over. Karen B says, did or does Matt Gaetz have a sexual relationship with his adopted son? So this is allegedly and for entertainment purposes only. He adopted a son that is a Hispanic, Latino origin guy. This son is, I don't know when he adopted him. He was not a little boy. But now this guy is a young man. And I will tell you this without telling you this. How about that? In the gay community, everyone knew that Melissa Etheridge was gay before the, media knew that she was gay. The same thing with Katie Lang. The same thing with Ellen DeGeneres. Everybody knew, except for the media. It's the same thing here. Yes, the guides are saying that he has had a relationship. I don't know why they won't let me say the word. I think because I don't want to be sued. He has had a relationship with his son that some people might frown upon. Let's put it to you that way. They really are going after people. I have to be more careful about what I say. But yes, that's why they had me explain to you in that roundabout way about Ellen DeGeneres and Melissa Etheridge and Katie Lang and Wham and how many people, right? How many people have come out later? Elton John. I mean, come on. The list is long. Okay. Okay, sorry. Helena says the world needs the wheat from Ukraine for one thing. Okay, so we've had 3 questions on Ukraine. So I think I just answered that question, Elena, but I did go into more detail in part 1 at the end of the video. Thank you for your question. Jay Jane is asking about Navalny, and I just talked about Navalny, so thank you for your question. Mickey Walk says, I agree. Mickey Walk says, thanks for doing these. They're always interesting, and they like to see what other people are thinking about. Me too. It's like you get to kind of take a pulse of what people are interested in or concerned about. The question that Mickey Walk has is the Russian government spreading lies and disinformation through American websites even now? Or is this more of a homegrown disinformation campaign? Mickey Walk, so anybody that, Cambridge Analytica, anybody that wants to look up Cambridge Analytica, make sure you've got plenty of time. And it's shocking, but just look it up. The Russian government has been spreading lies and disinformation. It's basically trying to overthrow our government without doing it through the normal ways. And now what's happened is that it's not just these videos are going to end up getting me. It's not just the Russian government. There's other countries that are involved in this that I don't know that I can tell you right now because they scare me. So there are other countries involved, and they do want to knock us off our pedestal. So we're king of the hill, right? They want to soil us. They want to take us down a few notches. They want to make us have civil unrest. We're a target because we have freedoms. We have a GDP that's huge. We have, we're the quote unquote, whatever you want to say, the best, whatever. So we're a target. Now what's happened is these countries still are fomenting this violence and still are encouraging and helping and organizing and funding this lies and disinformation through these websites. But it is taking on more of a homegrown disinformation campaign. Yes, you're right. It's like they started it, and now some of these Americans that are Trumpers and are not well in their minds have taken upon themselves to continue it. But it was started by these other countries. Absolutely. The question is also, what steps is Biden's government taking to slow down inflation, and how will it affect the U.S. currently weird housing market? Biden is actually doing quite a lot. And I said this in the last video if you didn't watch it. He's currently right now in Saudi Arabia, or in talks with Saudi Arabia, to encourage them in whatever way we may to pump more oil, to put more oil on the market so that the prices will come down. Biden has also taken aim at the oil companies and said there's a war about, right? Meaning Ukraine is in a war that is affecting the entire global market, and that these oil companies should not be grifting. They shouldn't be having record profits when the world's gas prices are at record highs. Not just the United States, everyone's gas prices are at record highs. So that's important for inflation. I know it doesn't directly maybe talk about that, but it is important because the guides were talking to me recently about, I think maybe I was complaining about my gas prices, which in Texas, our gas prices are less than everybody else's. But the guides showed me how the gas prices are really affecting shipping, really affecting our the trucking industry. All the shipping that gets done by flights and ships and trucks and anybody that uses any sort of fuel. That's causing the prices to go up. Now that's causing inflation. Also, the inflation is also caused by Trump's tariffs. The reason we got in the bind from the baby formula was because Trump put all these tariffs on baby formula. So when you have a limited supply, they can raise the prices. So I do see, and I do think that Biden has done a fantastic job, and Janet Yellen and everybody has done a really good job of being proactive about inflation, as proactive as they can be, as what part they can do, which is limited. I see the inflation easing. Now, all of the economists are saying we're screwed, we're going into a recession. I've never seen us go into a recession. I don't know what kind of magic Biden and all of those people are going to pull off, but it is a doozy of some magic, because I see the inflation starting to ease towards the fall. And what's interesting is that at just the last minute, gas prices come down, and consumer spending is high, and we go into this holiday season, blockbuster. I see sales really high in apparel, in everything, in luxury goods, but also in things like apparel and just across the board. I see spending up across the board. Now, spending being up has not helped inflation, because these companies can charge us whatever they want, because we've got pent up demand, pent up dollars, and they want to spend it. Now, there's always people who say, I don't have pent up dollars. It's not me. I understand. I'm not talking about everybody. I understand a lot of people don't have the money. I get it. And I'm sorry you're in the position you're in. But the truth of the matter is, there's a whole lot more Americans that do have the pent up money, spending power, and they want to spend it. And also, when you're hearing terrible things about your democracy or your government or violence, you want to escape. So you're going to spend money on that four-wheeler. You're going to spend money on that vacation. You're going to spend money on that Airbnb or that boat or whatever. Or perhaps even just going on a shopping spree. You're going to do some retail therapy. So that's going to help. That's going to help the economy. Now, what we need to do is put pressure on these companies to stop raising their prices. And the first way to do that is what the guides first talked about, which is through oil and gas. So I do see this easing off, and I see it like we've avoided, like America is standing on the train tracks and the train is heading right for us. And everybody is like, there's no way America's going to get out of the way. They're going to get plowed down by this, freight liner, this train that's coming. And somehow Biden steps off the tracks at the last minute. Again, the roller coaster, what I was talking about, the more you're tuned into the news, the more you're going to be on the roller coaster. Try to take it in very small doses and then disconnect. Okay, the housing market, there is easing around the housing market. It could, the Fed, I guess, is going to raise interest rates again. Again, this is the Fed trying to hammer this inflation down. They're trying to stop people from buying things. It's just bizarre, but this is what's happening. I do see the housing market kind of going cold. It's almost as if the water in your faucet goes from hot to cold. You know how it does that in your scream? That's what we're talking about here. Now, not everywhere. The housing market that's really tight and really it's high priced and tight, like in the Pacific Northwest, parts of California, parts of the East Coast. Look, that it doesn't matter. That's not going to change so much. It may drop 5 or 10%, but there's some parts of the housing market that's going to drop about 20%. Literally 20%. That's a pretty good drop. So I don't know if that answers your question, but hopefully it does. Bright Star Sunshine, thank you for your question. Will 45's followers realize that they've been taken financially by the biggest grift America has ever seen? You have to get them to admit they made a mistake. I mean, have you seen any of these people ever admit to making a mistake ever? So I don't think they're going to admit to anybody. You may see 10%. I mean, I'm seeing some of your viewers, some of your parents saying, my God, that guy was just a crook, and I sent him my money. 10%. Not the majority of them. The people that sent money to them are the ones that aren't going to be so easily dissuaded from their irrational thinking. They've got a lot of their own ego in this. They're going to look bad if it looks like they were taken. Look, those people that give money to the prince in the country in Africa don't admit it to people. They just kind of try to keep it on the down low, right? A lot of times if you've been grifted and it was your own fault, you don't go around telling people. So I don't see them admitting it. Now, what I do see, and how we may be able to draw a conclusion that they feel like they've been grifted and now they're sorry about it, is they don't vote Republican. They literally stay home and don't vote. That, when we see that, and we will see that, but to whatever degree we do see it, I think you can draw a corollary between that and the fact that these people feel like they've been taken. They'll simply just stay home. They're not going to let anybody know about it. So hopefully that makes sense. I think that's very interesting. Karen Edinger says that she would like to know what role Eric Prince had in the insurrection, and will this come out, and will he be prosecuted? This is such a good question. Blackwater. He has a new name. What is it? The Eric Prince's mercenary group has a new name. It's not Blackwater. But anyway, that's what I know it as. So that's why Spirit is saying Blackwater. Did he have a role in the insurrection? Not directly. We're not going to be able to finger him directly with the insurrection. He does have a role, but I don't think it's I don't think his role is prosecutable. It's another one of those things where managing our expectations. We want all these people to be prosecuted. The truth of the matter is some of them just aren't going to be prosecuted. Enough of them will, but not all. Okay, so that's what I'm getting for that. Thank you, Karen, for your question. Ken Lloyd wants to know, in whose interest is the American Federal Reserve working in? Thank you for your question, Ken. And whose interest is the American Federal Reserve working in? Well, you know, this gets into a lot of conspiracy theories about the Fed. There are so many. The thing about conspiracy theories is there's usually some grains of truth in them. Maybe not the whole thing is true, but there are usually some grains of truth. And that's why we continue to believe in them, because certain things start to be proven true. Whose interest is the American Federal Reserve working in? Well, they just said the banks. So they're working in the interest is the banking system, the United States banking system. His next question is, will the Republicans be successful in derailing the Jan 6 hearings? No, they're not going to be successful in derailing them or diminishing them or anything. The Jan 6 hearings are going to be well received, are being well received. They are going to have a very long shelf life. And they're going to be respectable, and they're going to be believed. So they're not going to be able to tarnish them and say this is all just a bunch of made up stuff. That's why Jan 6 is using the videos of Bill Barr, you know, talking, and Jared Kushner and you know, all these people. You can't, I mean, let me say this. Okay. Again, the Jan 6 hearings are not for the Trumpers. Those people are too far gone. They're never going to believe anything except for what they want to believe. That is just that. I think the guides just said 10% maybe of the Trumpers may have some sort of reckoning or understanding that they've been grifted and that they've been lied to. That's only 10%. The Jan 6 hearings are really for those people in the middle that aren't R's and aren't D's and really are looking for information and are awakening to that information. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your question. I have a question from Susan, and it's not me, it's another Susan. And she says, will Steve Bannon ever go to prison? He's behind so much of the nightmare we call Trump. Yes. Steve Bannon is an interesting figure for me because the guides show me that Bannon is going to be a trigger for civil unrest. So he's not, I don't know what my dog is doing. Okay, Bannon is going to be a trigger for civil unrest, not Meadows. You can arrest these people. It doesn't, nobody cares. I mean, they're going to get a little bit upset, but for as far as the actual armed people, the Proud Boys and those kinds of people, Bannon is going to be the trigger. And what they show me visually is I see the handcuffs on Bannon. So he is going to be arrested. And when that happens, it's going to trigger civil unrest. So yes, he is going to be arrested. I do think he'll do time. I don't know that he'll do enough time. Again, managing our expectations. We might want him to go, you know, for 10 or 15 years, and he may only do a year. So again, there's a lot of opportunities here for us to be let down, but let's just count our wins double, right? If he goes to prison for 6 months or a year, that is a win. There's no reason to throw out everything just because somebody didn't get the sentence you thought they did. We have to sort of manage these things and sadly take what we can get. I'd rather him go to jail for a year than not go to jail. Okay, so if that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do. Okay, Angel C, and thank you for your question, Susan. I appreciate it. Angel C says, how long will DeJoy? There's actually 2 questions for DeJoy in a row. Susan also has another question about DeJoy. Angel says, how long will DeJoy go under the radar? And then Susan says, will they ever look into DeJoy for slowing down the mail before the election? That definitely seems like a part of the plan to claim victory early if the mail-ins are usually dim. Exactly. They talk about the red mirage. The red mirage is that on the day of voting, Republicans' votes stream in because they tend to vote in person. And because, especially because of COVID, there was a big red mirage because a lot of votes came in from Republicans, but a lot more votes came in from mail-in ballots, which tend to be more Democrat. So that's one of the things they talked about. They talked about how they told Trump, don't believe in the red mirage. It isn't what you think it is. The Democrats' votes are coming in. They just come in a different source. So her question is, will we look into DeJoy for slowing down the mail? And the other question was, how long will DeJoy go under the radar? He's gone under the radar much longer than I would have liked, right? I mean, we finally got these people elected to the board. It's just, it is super frustrating for us. It's super frustrating for me. Honestly, DeJoy, his energy is a lot like McConnell's energy in the sense that they don't care about the crimes. They don't care that they've lied. They don't care that it's on video. They're still going to stay in office. The only way you can get them out is to literally remove them from office. And generally speaking, especially for McConnell, that might be through some kind of criminal investigation. I can't get the timing right on McConnell, people like DeJoy, because they don't do what the energy suggests. Again, if you're standing in the middle of a hurricane downpour and the wind is 100 miles an hour, 99.9% of humans would seek shelter. Not McConnell. McConnell's going to stand in it and just, you know, go ahead, take your best shot. I don't care. That's that. He defies the energy. He defies the energy. That's why it's so hard to read him. DeJoy defies the energy. They just don't care. They don't care. Okay, so they don't act like most humans would. I'm going to ask I'm going to ask a variation on your question, which is DeJoy going to be prosecuted? Is he going to be indicted? Is he going to be charged? They're showing me what in the heck? Well, I saw these machines and I was going to tell you they were voting machines, but then I said, DeJoy is a postmaster. He's not. And then I asked them, are you talking about mail sorting machines, right? But then they showed me voting machines again. Now, the mail sorting machines were sorting votes. So they could be voting machines. You understand what I'm saying? What in the heck? Is he going to go down for destroying votes? Wow. Okay, I'm going to say allegedly, because I don't need to be on the other end of that thing. But allegedly, my guides are saying that he could be connected to voting irregularities, is what they're calling them. And it could be that Biden is keeping him, where he is so that the undercover investigation can continue. Because he is in hot water. That's the first time I've ever gotten that. That is the first time they've ever told me that. Wow. Okay. That took me, that surprised me tremendously, actually. Okay. Thank you for your question, because that was very interesting. Starlight Glazer. Thank you for your question, Starlight Glazer. Do your guys see Paul Ryan making a run for president? Paul Ryan is one of those guys that just gets right under my skin for some reason. He just, when I just look at him, he makes me mad. But anyway, to shake that energy off. Okay, so Starlight Glazer says, can't stand the man myself, but he is starting to voice things in the media. Thank you. Paul Ryan, he may think he's making a run for president. He's not going to be successful. He's not going to, I see him being marginalized. I see him being more marginalized. Again, his ideas about governance are way out of whack, to society's ideas about governance. He's going to be marginalized. He's going to be pushed out to the margins. I don't see him gaining power. He might be talking more. He might be getting more media presence, but that is not going to result in power, if that makes sense. But I understand what you're saying. Anytime these people start appearing on news shows and getting publicity, we need to take a look at them. We need to be careful about them. Okay, thank you for your question. Sunny Dell says, oh, great, Canadian viewer. Hey, good to see you. Will the right and far right continue to gain momentum in Canada? It looks like Pierre Poilievre, I cannot say that. I'm not French and I don't speak French. Who courts the far right will win the federal conservative leadership race. Will the conservatives win the next federal election? Okay, let me stop there because that's a lot. No, Pierre is not going to win. Now, Pierre does represent some radical people. They feel like they're racist. I mean, they feel racist to me. They feel, yeah, I mean, among other things, very other, you're this, stay over there, right? Very, only people like me. I only like people like me, whatever that is. So, he's been courting the far right. Yes, I get that. It's just like Le Pen and, the, person. Yeah, no, Le Pen. It's just like Le Pen. They said the right word. He reminds me of Le Pen. He's got that Marie Le Pen energy. I don't know if, and she lost in France, in France, but, not that Macron is that much better, but he is that much better because this is what we're dealing with, right? Racist or ultra racist, right? So this is where we're trying to draw the lines where we can. So he's not going to win. And then you asked, the second question was, Trudeau's Liberals won a minority government in the election last fall. I'm an English speaker and you live in Quebec, the French-speaking province of Canada. They recently passed more repressive laws in Quebec against use of English language. Will they continue to pass more laws to repress English, or will they soften their anti-language stance in the future? There appears to be a faction in this part of Canada that very much wants to be a separatist energy. The energy is separatist. The energy is sedition, is separating. And I know that I've been to Montreal, I've been to Quebec. I love that area. And I know that they prefer to speak French. What I would tell you, dear, is it is going to kind of go a little bit more towards that. It's going to feel like it's going more to the right. It's going to feel like it's going more to the French separatist kind of energy. And indeed, it might really do that, but I see it coming back towards the center. But this takes about 3 years. It's going to slide, and then it's going to kind of because when those, not Pierre, but when other right-wingers gain momentum, people realize this, we don't like this. We may be, again, it's the Macron-Le Pen. We may be Macron, but we're not Le Pen. It's that kind of energy, okay? So I just feel like sometimes we need to see the fruits of our efforts to go, oh, that's not at all what I wanted. Now that I see it, I don't want that. So that's kind of what I see you guys doing. I hope that's helpful. Thank you so much for watching from Canada. Canada has some, you know, also, Ottawa. What does Ottawa got to do with anything? But also I was going over to Calgary because Calgary has that sort of, a lot of that right-wing extremism seems to be evident in that area too. Ottawa, I think, is your capital, isn't it? I don't know what just happened to Ottawa. Why are you talking about Ottawa? They said Ottawa was ineffectual. It's not being effectual. It's being ineffectual with this, specifically with you guys in French-speaking Canada. Ottawa is being ineffectual. They're not doing what they should be doing. They're not, whatever they're doing isn't having the effect that it needs to have. I hope that makes sense. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're kind of like me in Texas, right? You have to just hold the energy. Just try to hold the energy and know that in the end, the people in your province, right? They're good people. They're not going to let this serious right-wing extremism take over completely. It's not going to happen, but it doesn't feel good. And it may be a little disruptive. Okay. I don't know what else to say. I hope that helps. All right. Moonchild Spirit says, is Trump plotting something because he's flipping out over 1-6 hearings? Trump is, what is the word? They had it. He is impotent. Trump is impotent. He doesn't have any power. His power is waning. His power is getting grift. That has been his only power ever. And he's still grifting. But he's not plotting anything, specifically. There are things being plotted, but they're not. Trump doesn't have the power we all think that he does. Okay, period. But there are some things being plotted. There are some, events. For instance, just this last weekend, the, Patriot Front, whatever that group was in Idaho, they got taken down before they were able to start anything. They were at the Gay Pride Parade in Idaho, and they were arrested before they got to cause any trouble. So there are things like this happening, okay? So far, Biden and the Justice Department, and FBI, CIA, and everybody else has done a really good job of stopping them before they're able to start something. Now, if they stop 49 things and one gets through, that's upsetting. All it takes is one, okay? And I do see us having the potential for things like that to happen. But I would just tell you, for every one thing that happens this summer, there are many, tens and tens more that didn't happen because our Justice Department is on it. I don't know. Does that make any sense? I hope that makes sense. Beverly S. says, is 45 grifting again, needing more money? Is that why he keeps saying he's going to run for 2024? Exactly. That's what the guides literally just said. So thank you for your question, Beverly. He is grifting. He'll continue to grift until they just showed me. I had to laugh because I was just going to say it because I'm channeling. But then when I got the message of what I was going to say, it made me laugh. So I snapped out. They said he's going to continue to grift all the way to prison and then from prison. Now, if you watch the first part of this, you'll see that he's going to go to some kind of jail. It's not really jail. It's sort of like a house arrest. But I see him getting postcards and writing postcards to people trying to get, I see him like getting the check from grandma in, someplace, red state, United States, where, she sent him $25. He's going to be a grifter until he leaves this worldly plane, and his kids will be too, for entertainment purposes only. Okay, that was funny. Whew. Okay, thank you for your question, because I needed that laugh. Rebecca Cole says, if Trump isn't going to jail, what kind of sanctions will he have? Maybe a mental institution. Right, Rebecca? This is what we've been talking about in this part 2 and also in part 1. I do see him in some sort of federal... It's not even a real place. It's as if it's house arrest. It's, but it's not a house. It is an institution, or the wing of an institution. But because of his status as an ex-president, we have to keep him safe from our enemies. For our own safety, we have to keep him safe. So he is going to go to some place like that. So thank you for your question. SD Shakti, thank you for your question, says, how will Bill Barr get his comeuppance? Does Ghislaine Maxwell have anything to do with it? His Opus Dei beliefs are very curious when put together with his arrogance. Yeah, because these people just pick and choose whatever they want, right? I mean, you couldn't have any inconvenient truths come out, right? So I think I talk about, I'm channeling this, I don't know what I just said, but I think we talked about Bill Barr in another question, and I think I talked about him. I did talk about him. They're showing me. It's really Bannon and Eastman and Meadows that pay Giuliani, Josh Hawley, a bunch of them that end up paying the price. I don't know that Bill Barr is going to pay the price. This guy is, first of all, sadly, he's a brilliant legal mind. He's a brilliant legal mind. He knows the Constitution. He knows our laws better than our own prosecutors. Spirit has talked about this before. The brightest minds that want the biggest paychecks go to these types of people. So Bill Barr can afford to hire attorneys and pay them millions of dollars. And our attorneys here, for our prosecutors, United States prosecutors, are making what, 200,000 or, maybe a little bit more than that. But, it's hard to compete with that kind of firepower. Not only do they make more money, they can afford to put 50 attorneys finding the tiniest little loophole, right? So we're outnumbered. We're overpowered by what they can do. So that's why Bill Barr will likely not get his real comeuppance. Maxwell, see, again, okay, right. I talked about this in the last, not in part 1, but in a different edition of these questions. And it was fascinating to me, and I obviously forgot about it till they reminded me. Maxwell has Ghislaine, or whatever her name is. She has the goods. Now, she has the goods on all these people, and it's set up that if anything happens to her, the goods get disseminated. It's a hair trigger thing, and there's no way that anybody can stop it. The way it's done is there's not anybody in charge of it. Maybe it's a computer program. Maybe it's a computer program that she has to sign on to every month, or somebody has to, and if you don't, it disseminates. I don't know. Or maybe it's even of her one phone call from prison. It's her voice activated. It's brilliant. Whatever this system she set up is, it's brilliant. Now, it's also keeping her alive, because As long as she stays alive, the information doesn't get disseminated. And thirdly, it gives her money. When she gets out of prison, she's going to be able to, she's going to be able to utilize that information for blackmail. And what they just showed me was this kind of, are you familiar with Banksy, the artist? That some of his art self-destructs. So people spend millions of dollars on his art, and then it literally has a shredder built in that's concealed that shreds the art. This is what I see, is that when she gets that money, there's a built-in destroying factor that the person can employ, that they know that this is gone forever. Okay, so you understand what I'm saying? So Maxwell doesn't, she's not going to give up any dirt to get rid of anybody. That's money to her. So, and life, it's her life and her money. It's all she has. So, that was fascinating. That's the first thing they've talked about, her system of protecting it's very fascinating, isn't it? That she has this computer program that, either it's voice activated, or there may be 3 ways that she can activate it and keep it intact. But if she misses a deadline, it gets disseminated. Now, who is going to allow her to miss a deadline? Nobody. Nobody. We're talking about heads of state. Nobody's going to let her miss a deadline. Okay. Fascinating, honestly. Okay, another question from SD Shakti is, how will Democratic Governor Beto affect businesses moving in like Tesla, who want Republican benefits, quote unquote? How will it change the way businesses operate or migrate from other states? It's a big question for the Lone Star State. Well, first of all, Beto, I was talking about this to a friend of mine. And again, I didn't know any of this. Spirit was telling me. So when Beto gets to be governor, as often happens when you get a Democratic president, sometimes you get a Republican Congress. When you get a Democratic governor, you get a Republican state-controlled Congress. I don't see Beto having a strong Democratic vote to change things, sadly. So he might be a little frustrated in the first period of his governorship. What Beto is going to be doing in his governorship is statesmanship. He's going to be going out and showing people how a certain kind of Texan could be. What if we had this? What if we had that? He's actually going to use his governorship as a bully pulpit. So I don't see him affecting Tesla. I don't see that. I don't see him affecting the way business operates in Texas, to be honest with you. That's why Spirit honestly really wanted him to be a senator. Last year, I kept saying to you guys on the videos, he's supposed to be a senator. He's supposed to be a senator. He's supposed to be a senator. He's not supposed to be a governor. Indeed, he won that race against Ted Cruz. We all know what happened. The same thing that happened with McConnell. McConnell didn't win either. These races were rigged. Everything the Republicans say is true, just in reverse. So, that's, hopefully that answers your question. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it. I'm only going to answer a few more because I think this is getting on to be a whole nother hour. And there's still so many more. Okay, so Karis Gunderson says, what is going on with the Supreme Court right now? Will any of the bad ones really be going? Really? Yes. Right now, they're telling me brilliant legal minds, dissecting and disseminating Ginny Thomas. They are dissecting everything about her. Literally, they have information about the whereabouts of her vehicle. Everything. They're literally interviewing the people that she shops, the people, you know, those little boutiques, the people she shops from. What did Ginny tell you? I mean, literally, because there's only so much information we can get directly from her, they're literally going all around her, and it's almost as if they're creating a circular barbed wire fence around her that she cannot get out of. So if they know that she told her hairdresser this thing, and she told her driver this thing, and then she told this friend this thing, you understand that they're building a case against her that is impenetrable. She cannot get out of. So they're going to be targeting Ginny Thomas. And you can bet that when Ginny Thomas is faced with prison, that she's going to turn state's witness evidence. Above all else, she's going to preserve her own self. And this is over her husband. I mean, honestly, it's over her husband. It's every person for themselves. Now, she's not going to throw him under the bus in the fashion that you may be thinking. This is what I'm seeing, and it's maddening. These kind of people push all my buttons. So she's laughing. You can see it, you know, with the lipstick. I mean, you can see it. She's laughing. And she's like, yeah, you guys caught me. I had a really good run. And you know what? I messed you guys up for decades. It'll take decades for you to undo everything that I've done to you. Believe me, I've done enough. You know, Thomas, resign. We're leaving. That's what I see her saying. And she's laughing like, you caught me. You know those people that you want them to be ashamed. You want them to be scared. You want them to be upset, and instead they laugh in your face. Whew, I got to move on because that really pissed me off. All right. Okay. Thank you for your question. I think I'm going to just do this last question. There's so many good questions. I'm sorry that I can't get to them all. There's really so many good questions. Here's a question from Joni Angels Are Real, who says she has a query about Lauren Boebert. And she says she had a vision that Lauren Boebert was recruited to be the carrier of the bomb. Any further info from your guides? Look, I know you guys have zeroed in on her shoes, and she's wearing the same shoes, and people have taken video of her walking with her weird crazy thing she does with her arm, and the bomber did the same thing. I don't get that it's her. You guys, I'm not saying she wouldn't do it, because for enough money she would do anything. But when you can buy somebody to do something, that means somebody else can pay a higher price for them and get them to tell them something. So these people that have been bought and paid for are not reliable. They're not trustworthy. Somebody comes along with a couple of, $5-10 million. She'll tell you everything you want to hear. What else you want to hear? This is the woman that's allegedly was a prostitute. So she's able to be bought. So I don't see it being her. I think it's even more insidious than that. I think it's somebody who was playing her. Somebody who wanted everybody to think that it was her. Again, she's expendable. She's a freshman. She was bought and paid for. She's expendable the same way Madison Cawthorn is expendable. And truly the same way Marjorie Taylor Greene is expendable. These people are expendable. I feel like somebody was pretending to be her. Now, I have said this in videos before, months and months and months ago. The guides said that she also is not the kind of person who would do something, she would have her aide do it. So another thing they're saying, and they said this before, is she's a delegator. She would say, you're going to go do this, dress up like me, wear my shoes, whatever. God help her if she's that dumb, but she could be. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about everything. You know, this is what I'm getting. So we'll see, right? KM says, any updates about Dr. Oz and hiring illegal immigrants? How will this affect him and his family? Dr. Oz is not going to be in public office. Number one, I know, but he's not going to be in public office. Number two, apparently he's got money, and he's got enough judges that were appointed by Trump and or are pay offable that he can get out of that situation. I don't see that taking him down. Okay. I'm sorry to say, again, justice was not done, but that's what I'm seeing. So hopefully that helps. I think I've answered a lot of these questions. Jay Jane is asking about when the Supreme Court Justice Thomas will be leaving. I just said that yes, he will be leaving. I don't know when, because the timing is so hard. It's so hard with people like this that don't follow the energy. They literally refuse to do what the energy dictates that they would do. Very, very hard to know what they're going to do. This will be the last question. New England Nomad says, will the mainstream media and political forecasters be shocked by the voter turnout for Democrats in November? They keep saying D's lose the House. Me and Linda G. and Sterling say that we will keep the Democrats in the House and the Senate. Yes, they're going to be shocked. They're going to be shocked at so many things this summer. I think somebody asked this in the last video, not part one, but previously, that are people really going to be shocked? Yes, we're going to be shocked. Did you think Lauren Boebert was going to be allegedly, a prostitute? That was a little bit shocking, right? So yeah, we're going to be shocked. They're going to be shocked. Again, I see an amazing turnout. Sadly, we're going to need to get 10 to 15, 20% more votes. And the guides have been saying this. We need to get at least 10 to 15%, possibly 20% more votes than we need. Because there's going to be 10, 15% of our votes siphoned off, either by challenges at the ballot box or challenges at the ballot box. I mean, basically, if you go to vote and your name is not on the voter roll, then you've got to vote provisionally. There's these new challenges where anybody can challenge a voter, apparently, and this is what the Republicans want to do, is you just say, I'm challenging you. I don't think you live where you live, and I don't think you are who you are. And any election judge can do that. And if that's the case, then you have to vote provisionally. Now, having worked elections, in my opinion, voting provisionally, I don't have a lot of hope for your vote. Yes, it counts. Quote unquote, it counts. Quote unquote, it counts. But quote unquote, it can get lost. Okay? So, as many people as they can get to vote provisionally, the better. But despite that, we're winning. We're going to win because there's a crush of people at the polls. All of these young people are coming to vote. All of these people that don't typically vote. First-time voters, people. First-time voters. Get out there and register these people. They want to vote. They don't know how to get registered. They don't know where to go. They've never voted before. Get out at the parks. Become a voting registrar for your state. Get out at the parks, get out at the mall, get out at concerts, make yourself visible, register people, and also educate them about what they need. Educate people about how they can go online and make sure that they're still registered. I found out that I was not registered anymore in Texas. Voted in every darn election since I was 18. And all of a sudden, I wasn't registered. But I found that out early enough to go re-register. And I voted. So educate people. It's on us. It's up to us. Okay, so we need to kind of get busy in July, and in August, we need to get really, really busy. Take June off and take a vacation. Listen, thank you guys so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate you checking out these videos. I'm just so grateful and thankful to you. Thank you again. And take really good care of yourself. It's a kind of topsy-turvy time here in our world, no matter where you are in the world. It's a lot of ups and downs. Let's not ride that roller coaster. Let's hold the energy. Let's just try to be centered and stay sort of in the middle of the energy if you can. And that might mean disconnecting from the news or disconnecting from certain things for periods of time. Just take a break, okay? Thanks again for joining me. You guys take good care. We'll see you again right here on this channel. For entertainment purposes only.